this is Gina. Today I want to show you how to make a very easy, pretty quick moving crystal bracelet. Now, this is the one I show you on the video today, and you can see it forms little triangles, and we have the triangles meet in the dead center and then reverse. So it's a really pretty design. This is the one I make on video, and this is with some cuboids you will find in the news treasure bag, which is the Deep Sea Jewels treasure bag. These are like 6.5 by 3.5 cuboids, but this design is so easily adapted to other beads. This is a 6mm basic bicone, just your traditional bicone, and it turned out really pretty. Same pattern, exactly. And let me take it off so you can see it. I made this one a little bit longer than the last one just because I wanted to. So this one's a little longer. But there are many different beads that are a little bit different shapes that you can use for this pattern, and we'll discuss that in the next section. I just wanted you to know that this is easily adaptable to different beads, and most likely you'll have something in your stash you can make it with. So let's go ahead and look at the material list and get started on this project. Okay, for this project today, we will be using these little cubes that are in the Deep Sea Jewels treasure bag. However, you can substitute these with quite a few different types of beads, and I will show that to you in a moment. These are 6.5 by 3.5 millimeter cubes. Now, they can be substituted with a 4 by 8 bicone. They can also be substituted with these little 4 by 6 rice beads, and I have a bunch of these, and you have a strand in your bag also of sea green, and they can also be substituted with a 6mm bicone, and it turns out really pretty. So you can use this with all kinds of different types of cubes. I also have some of these, and you may have some in your stash. Also, these are little opaque cubes, and they work just fine. Anything basically 6mm long, or 6 to 8, is going to work fine, because these work really well too. So if you have something, and a 6mm bicone is very easy to find, and it turns out really pretty. And I will finish this bracelet and show you what it looks like too at the beginning of the intro of the video. So that's what we're going to be using for beads. You can substitute them with whatever you have. And then we are going to use some 8/0, 11/0, and 15/0 seed beads. These are all Toho, and I have galvanized permanent finish aluminum for the 15/0 and 8/0. And because this doesn't have a lot of color, I'm going to go ahead and add a pop of color, though it looks really pretty with just a silver 11/0 also. I'm going to use a blue turquoise 11/0 with this bead because it's pale and I want a little bit more color pop. And you can use any color scheming you would like. Then I am going to use a toggle clasp. This is the one that came in the treasure bag. However, doesn't really matter. You can use any toggle you'd like. Just keep in mind the size of the length of your bracelet according to the size of your toggle. And you can use whatever clasping you would like. It doesn't have to be a toggle necessarily. Then I'm going to use some 10-pound Nanofil. You can also use 6-pound Fireline or 8-pound Nanofil. That's fine. Just do not go above a 6-pound Fireline because the diameter needs to be fairly small. And we're going to use a size 12 beading needle because of the size of the 15/0s. So you might want to stick with a size 12. And go ahead and put onto your needle about a wingspan of your thread. So when a wingspan is when you spread your arms out to your side like they're wings. You measure from the fingertips of the first hand. You measure the length of the first arm across your chest, the length of the second arm into your fingertips. You will need to extend during this project, or add thread. So I will leave a link to a video in the description box beneath the video player that will show you how to do that if you do not know how. So let's go ahead and thread our needles and get started. Okay, to start this project, after you have threaded your needle, go ahead and pick up whatever your main bead is going to be, whether it be a bicone of some sort or a little cuboid, and go ahead and pick up one of your main beads, and then pick up an 8/0, and then another of your cubes, and then an 8/0, and another of your main bead, and an 8/0. Just like this. So you have 3 of your selected main beads and 3 of your 8/0s on your needle. Start with your main bead and end with an 8/0. And then just bring this down to the end of the thread. You do not have to leave a long tail, but you need to leave enough to tie a knot with. And then you're going to go back up through the first bead on the tail side. So we're just going to go up through this cube. We're going to hold on to that cube. We're going to pull the thread through as we hold on to that cube. And now we have drawn the other beads up and created a triangle, just like this. Now we're going to sew through all the way until our working thread meets with the tail thread. So I'm going to go through the 8/0 and the cube behind it, and then the 8/0, and then the cube behind it, and then into the 8/0 here. Now my working thread and my tail thread are on the same side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab them and I'm going to cross the working thread over the tail thread and then draw the tail thread through the circle twice so I can tie a small surgeon's knot. Come here. Okay, go in there. Sorry about that. Sometimes just not coordinated enough. And then once you've got that through twice, just draw it down between the beads like this. And now you have secured your first unit, and we are going to begin to build the bracelet. First, you are coming out where the knot is, so go into the cube crystal right here. And then we are going to put clasping on this end so that we can work through the body of the bracelet and not have to retrace our steps or do this with our tail. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads onto the needle and then an 8/0, and we're going to drop it down. Then pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads onto the needle, or actually, I am wrong. Then pick up your clasp and go through the loop. So you have 3 11/0s and an 8/0, and then you're going to go through the loop with the clasp. Sorry about that. And then you're going to go just back into the 8/0 seed bead. So just the 8/0, pick it up, hold on to that 8/0, and pull the thread down, just like this. And that's what you should have so far. Then you're going to pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads onto your needle. And you're going to go into the other side of the cube that you attached to. And pull this down. Now you want them to sit just right on top of that cube because we're going to do an embellishment between. So don't worry about them not being down on the sides of the cube. You don't want them to be. So this is what it should look like. And now you will sew back through this entire thing twice. So we'll go up through the 3 11/0s and the 8/0 and then into the clasp like this. And then we will pull this through. Go back down into the 8/0 and then into the 3 11/0s on the other side. Just like that. Pull it down and then through the cube again. Now, go ahead and do that one more time. Once we have secured that, we'll be back. Okay, so now I have secured my clasping and I'm coming out of the cube after doing my last pass to secure. So I am going to now pick up 4 11/0 seed beads onto my needle. And we're just going to pass straight over this 8/0, go from this cube to this cube. So ignore the 8-0 seed bead and go into the next cube. And pull these down over the 8-0. Give a little tug so that they fan out nice and look pretty. Then you're going to go through this 8-0. We are not going to pass over it. We're going to go through it and work our way up to this 8-0. So just go through the cube, not the 8-0, and then pick up 4 11-0 seed beads onto your needle. And then you're going to go over that cube, ignoring it, going into the cube on behind it, and then go through a couple of the 11-0s on the other side too. If you can get through, make sure I get through this one. It makes it a little easier if you pass through at least one of the 11-0s on the other side, because we have to pass through all of them. So go ahead and pull through. Pull these 11-0s down. Nice and neat, so that they look pretty. And then we are going to continue passing through these 11-0s on this side so we can work down to this 8-0. So I'm going to go through the 3 I did not go through yet, and down into the cube beneath them. Not the 8-0 on the other side. Well, I suppose you could, because we're going to go through it anyway, but it's at a weird angle, so if you can get through it, you can get through it. So let's go through it now. And we're going to make a little extension to make our next triangle from now. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads onto our needle, and then we're going to pick up a cube. And then 3 15-0s. And this is with whatever bead you're using, it'll still be the same amount and the same size of beads. So go ahead and bring it down. Unless you're using a very long bead, then you may have to use more 15-0s. But for a 6mm bicone or any of the beads I have shown you, it should be fine. But you can always judge that too for yourself. So now you're going to go back into the 8-0 seed bead here. Pull this up. And you have to arrange these. They take a little bit of time because of the shape of the cube. It doesn't want to slide down there perfectly. It gets easier as you get a little further along, but the first couple kind of argue with you. Bring it down so that it's just kind of nice and level on the bottom here. And then we're going to sew through the 15-0 seed beads and the cube again so that we can secure this. So I'm going down the 3 15-0s, holding on to that cube between my fingers, and then I'll just pull it down like this. And then we're going to go through the cube, and then up through the 3 15-0s on this side. And as you can see, I want my 15-0s just to come right to the edge of the bead I'm using. So if you're using a longer bead, like a 4x8 bicone, may need a few more because it's 8mm long. So just make sure that the amount you use comes right to the edge of the bead. So through that 8-0. And then we have to sew down these 3 15-0s so we can get back down into the cube. So I'm going to go through these 3 here. Pull down and then go into the cube. Now we're ready to make the rest of our triangle. So we've got the top of our triangle here. We have to make the sides. So we're going to pick up an 8-0. Bring some of them over here. An 8-0, a cube, an 8-0, a cube, and an 8-0. Just like this. This time we only need 2 because we've already got our little cube waiting for the top part of our triangle. So now that we have 3 8-0s and 2 cubes, we're just going to go into the opposite side of the cube we're coming out of. Then we are going to put the embellishment on the sides as we sew through and secure. So we're going to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads, go over the top of that 8-0 and into the next cube. just like this. Pull these down. And then go through your 8/0 seed bead. You will not put an embellishment on the bottom 8/0. Up through the cube. And then we want 4 11/0 seed beads. Pass over the 8/0, go into the cube, and a couple of the 11/0s on the other side. If you can only get one, that's fine. Just get your needle through there. It's a little easier if you do it as you pass through the cube. Now I've gone through 1, so I need to pass through 3, and sew down to the bottom of my unit. So I'll go through these 3 11/0s, the cube, and pull my thread through. Make sure my embellishment looks nice and neat and tight, and then I'm going to go through the 8/0 seed bead. And again, we're going to make another unit, so we'll pick up a cube, an 8/0, a cube, and an 8/0. Or excuse me, we need to make our little attachment here. I am sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 3 15/0 seed beads, and a cube, and 3 15/0s. So we always have to make our top cube so that we have something to attach the other two to. So in between each unit on the bottom 11/0 here, you're going to pick up 3 15/0s, a cube, and 3 15/0s. Then you're going to go into the other side of the 8/0 and pull these down. Get it as level as you can on the bottom here. It's not going to be perfect until you sew through it again. Then go through the 3 15/0s on the side you're coming out of. Go through the cube here. Go through the 3 15/0s and the 8/0. If you can do it all at once, that's fine. If not, just do it one at a time. And then now you're coming out of the 8/0, you're attached. You need to sew down so that you can get into the cube. So we'll go through these 3 15/0s again. And then into the cube. Now we will pick up an 8/0, a cube, an 8/0, a cube, and an 8/0. Just like this. And go into the opposite side of the cube you're coming out of. And pull these into the triangular shape. Just like that. Then we need to pick up 4 11/0 seed beads and place them over the 8/0s on the top as we sew through to secure this unit. So we're coming out of the cube. We're going to ignore the 8/0 seed bead here and go into this cube right here and pull these down. Then on the bottom we just travel through the 8/0, we don't cover it. Then we go up through the cube on this side. Pick up 4 11/0 seed beads, go over the 8/0 into the cube behind it, and then into an 11/0 or 2 behind it. If you can get 2, that's fine. If you can get 1, that's fine. Just travel through some of those beads. It's a little easier to continue your traveling once you've pulled it through, just like this. Now we're going to finish going through the 11/0s and down through the cube beneath them and into the 8/0 seed bead. Let's make one more unit. So between each unit, we have to suspend our top little rafter here, or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to pick up 3 15/0 seed beads, and we're going to pick up a cube and 3 15/0 seed beads. And then we're going to go through the 8/0 we're coming out of on the opposite side and pull the top part of our triangle down here. And again, like I said, it takes a little bit of arranging with these cubes. If you're using a bicone, it slides down a little bit easier. Arrange that to where it's as level as you can get it, and then go through the 15/0s on this side, give a little tug, go through the cube, the 15 O's on this side, and the 8-0. Now, we have to again sew down the 15 O's on this side and come through the cube so that we can create our next triangle. We have the top of our triangle suspended and ready for the other cubes. So now we're coming out of the 15 O's here. We go into our cube. And we pick up an 8-0, a cube, an 8-0, and a cube, and an 8-0. And then we go to the opposite side of the cube we're coming out of, and we pull this down. And now that we have our triangle shape, we're going to put our embellishments on. So we're going to pick up our 4 11-0 seed beads, and we're going to go down into the cube. Then we're going to pass through the bottom cube. Then we're going to go up through the cube on this side, and then put our embellishment on the top again. Just pass over the top of the 8-0, go into the cube, go into at least one of the 11-0s on the other side, and I've got 2, so I'm going through 2, pull this down, and sew to the bottom. Now, in this design, we are going to make half of our bracelet with our triangles going this way and the other half with our triangles going the opposite way. So the pointy part will have to meet in the middle, dead center, and turn the direction of the triangle. So if you are going to make about a 7-inch bracelet, which is medium, you are going to make 5 of these units. And then we'll do our second step. If you want a small bracelet, you're going to make 4 units. If you want a large bracelet, you're going to make 6 units. Of course, that can all be modified. If you're bigger than a 6-inch, 7-inch, or 8-inch bracelet, you can, of course, add more or less, whatever you need. But that is basically what you're going to end up with. So go ahead and make 1 more unit. We'll come back and I will show you how to change direction for the other half of the bracelet. Okay, so I have made my 5 units, and we're going to discuss length a little bit because we could be using different beads or different clasps, and this needs to be dead center of your bracelet, and you want to make sure you end up with the length of bracelet you want. The way you're going to do this is you're going to measure half the length of the bracelet you want to end up with. So from the middle of my toggle, if you're using a toggle, you could be using a different one than me, you will measure from the middle. Or if you're using a lobster claw or a box clasp or something like that, you'll measure from the end. But with the toggle, measure from the middle, and you will see I have 3.5 inches to the end of my unit here. Now, that means I will end up with about a 7-inch bracelet. 7 inches is a medium-sized bracelet. If you want to end up with a larger bracelet, an 8-inch is considered large, you will make more units to make sure that you have at least around 4 inches from your toggle over. If you want to have a smaller bracelet, then you'll want to go to 3 inches. A 6-inch is considered small, 7 medium, and an 8-inch large. So this is how you will determine the dead center of your bracelet. And now we are going to change directions of our units. So it's a little bit different process, not a lot, but a little bit different. So what we're going to do now, instead of making a little extension, we're going to make a full triangle. So we're going to pick up a cube, an 8-0, a cube, and an 8-0, and a cube. So this time you have 3 on because we don't already have 1 suspended, so we need all 3. And we're going to bring this down. Then go through the 8-0 on the opposite side from which you're coming out. Pull these down. Now you have a full triangle and it's going the opposite direction. Now we have to sew down to these beads to put our embellishment on. So I'm going to pick this up and flip it over just so I can reach it better. I'm going to go through the first cube next to where my thread is coming out. Pull my thread through, and then I'm going to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads onto my needle, and I'm going to go over the top of the 8-0 and into the next cube, just like this, and pull my thread through. Then on this side we will do the same thing. Pick up 4 11-0 seed beads onto your needle and skip over the 8-0, go into the cube. Now we're going to go through this 8-0 seed bead in the center, and we have to sew down to this cube here. So we're going to go through the cube and a couple of the 11-0s here, then go through the other 2 11-0s and just the cube, avoiding the 11-0s on the other side completely, and come through. Now, normally we would put on an extension here with our cube from the 8-0, but we're already coming out of the cube, so now we just need an extension with an 8-0. So on the bottom of these units, we're going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, and then an 8-0, and 3 15-0 seed beads. And then we're going to go through the opposite side of the cube. So just move those 11-0s aside and avoid them on both sides and go through the cube. And now we have our little extension here. We are going to sew through it. So sew through the 15-0s closest to where you're coming out, and up through the 8-0, and then through the other 15-0s, back into the cube, and avoid the 11-0s on either side. Just kind of push them out of your way, and then come up through the 8-0. So we do not have a cube suspended anymore. We just have the 8-0. So we have to do all 3 of our cubes on these units. So we pick up a cube, an 8-0, a cube, and an 8-0, and a cube. Come here, cube. Little cube's getting away from me. So I have my 3 cubes with 2 8-0s in between them. Let me back off just a little so I can stay in frame better. And I'm going to drop these down, go into the opposite side of the 8-0 I'm coming out of, and pull these into a triangle, just like this. Now I need to sew down through the first cube, and I need to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads. Then I skip over the 8-0, go into the cube next to it, and pull my embellishment nice and tight, and then again 4 11-0 seed beads, skip over the 8-0, go into the cube. Now we have to sew all the way back down to this cube to put on our 8-0 and 15-0 extension. So we go through this 8-0 here, down into the cube, and a couple of 11-0s behind it in the same stroke, and then through the 2 11-0s left over and the cube. Exit just the cube. Pick up your 3 15-0 seed beads, and then your 8-0, your 3 15-0s, and go back into just the cube. Then sew back through the little extension you just made. So go through the 3/15 and the 8/0 and the 3/15 on this side, and then through the cube, avoiding the 11/0 on either side, then sew back up to your 8/0. Now you are ready to make your next triangle. If you need to, you can back it up and watch these 2 units until, or this unit, until you get the hang of it again, and we will make 5 units, including the 2 we have. Okay, so I have made my 5 units. So you can see right where your cubes cross right here, makes little like ribbon shape or X in the middle here. This is our dead center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a symmetrical bracelet now, and I'm going to put my clasping on the other side. So we're coming out of this cube after we finished making the unit. So, and sewing back down to the bottom like we would to make our next unit, we pick up 3 of our 11/0 seed beads and an 8/0, and we drop it down. Then we go through the other end of the clasp. So we'll go through the loop right there, and then go down into the 8/0 seed bead. Then we are going to go pick up 3 11/0 seed beads and go through the other side of the cube right here. And pull this all together. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to sew through this a couple of times. So we're going to go up through this side of the 11/0s and into the 8/0 and then into the clasp. And then back down into the 8/0 into the 3 11/0s on this side. And then back through the cube. And one more time. Let's do that, making sure we have so many passes of thread through so that everything is strong. The edge of these crystals are kind of sharp, so we want to make sure we have plenty of thread going through here. Now I'm back into my cube, and I'm going to pass through 2 of the 11/0 seed beads here as I come out. Let me get you in a little closer here. And then I'm going to go down into 2 more and the cube here. And then I am going to go underneath, between this cube and this 8/0. I'm going to go through the center here, make a little loop and go through it, and draw a knot down on that piece of thread between the 8/0 and the cube. And then I'm going to go into this 8/0. I'm going to sew down these 3/15 here. See if I can pull through here. And then into this cube. And into a couple of the, or one of the 11/0s, I guess. And then between this 11/0 and this cube, actually I think I'll go down because I don't want to cross those 2 threads. I'm going to go down, and here I'm going to go through the center again, create a loop, go through it, tie a knot, and I'll go through this 11/0, or this 8/0, excuse me, and these 3/15. And now it's pretty secure. I am going to just cut my thread off really close, just like that. And now I have a bracelet. And let me measure it to see how long it is. So from the center of my toggle here to the end It's right around 7 inches, maybe slightly under. Now you could put a couple of 8/0s if you need more room there. Let me see if this fits me. This may be a little tight. So let me see. Usually I like it to be a little bit over 7 inches because you have the beads themselves take up a little room on your wrist, and you want to be able to manipulate your clasping well. So let me see if I can get this. Actually, that's fine. It could be just a little bit longer, but I have movement and it looks pretty darn good actually. So let me back off so you can see the thing. And this is what the clasping looks like. And this is what the bracelet looks like. And it's very pretty. I'm going to finish the one that I started with my bicones, and I'll show you it on the intro of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and put some clasping on here and finish it up so you can see what it looks like. And once again, I'm going to remind you that you can use the rice beads, and I have a bunch I can list too, but you have the rice beads in your treasure bag also. And if you didn't get a treasure bag, I can list them if you like the way this looks. This pattern works out great with anything. Remember, you can use these elongated bicones, the 4x8s, or there has been some of these in other treasure bags, and I have them online too, and I've got thread everywhere. Jeez Louise. You can use something like this. You may have something in your stash that will work well. Even the little white beads that we have in our treasure bag, the little cylindrical type shaped ones, the column beads, or even the turquoise column beads, and I have more of those online too. Probably all of that will work well for this particular pattern. It's very forgiving, so you can do a lot of things with it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give me a little like and perhaps consider subscribing, and I would really appreciate it. Also, ring that notification bell, or, click it so that it will let you know when I have made a new video. Anyway, that's what today's project is. Have a good one. Bye-bye.